Okay, so let's look at some charts of Jupiter transiting the second house and get some examples of what happened during that time. In this person's chart, this person's a Leo ascendant, and in 2015, Jupiter was transiting this person's second house. And during this time, they had gotten a job that paid them a lot more, so they were starting to make more money. And also, they received a lot of money from family before this person got this job while Jupiter was still in this house, and eventually received a big chunk of money from family, which is, other people's money. And also the second house is a house of family as well, that they could use for a down payment on a house. And a couple years later, when Jupiter was transiting the fourth and directly aspecting that 10th house, they got a different job. But when it's in the second, it's casting that special aspect to, your 6th house of work routine and the 10th house of career. So this is another transit that, can give more money due to work. Let me look at another chart. So here we have the chart of Kim Kardashian. And this was in 2020. She had Jupiter going through her second house. And this is the year when she became a billionaire. In June of 2019 is when she launched Skims, and that was when Jupiter was on her ascendant. I kind of wrote a little bit about that in my article on Jupiter transiting the first, how, usually there is some event that is significant in a person's life, that kind of changes their path a little bit. And so she launched Skims, and then a couple years later, Jupiter's transiting that second house, and she was really growing that year. And she became a billionaire. I've switched charts real quick to another Sag ascendant. And so when Jupiter was going through this person's second house, well, first I want to say that when Saturn, here's the natal Saturn of this person, but when Saturn came into this person's house the previous year, I don't remember exactly what month it was, but very soon after Saturn had crossed into this person's second house, they kind of lost their job and wasn't really making any money when Saturn came into the second house. That's pretty common, Saturn comes into the second, and suddenly you have those second house things getting constricted a bit. So then Jupiter came along into the second house. And a lot of people, if you're a Sagittarius ascendant, I guess in 2020 you had both Jupiter and Saturn there. But anyway, so when Jupiter came to this person's second house, obviously they were relying a lot on, the spouse's income, because Saturn had come in and done its thing by restricting their income, and then Jupiter came in and they were benefiting a lot more from the spouse's income, and also they started receiving payments from, unemployment payments from the government. So they had, very easy money, I guess you could say. Like, they didn't have to work hard. It just came easily. And, they were able to focus more on the type of work they wanted to do without really worrying about money. it didn't last forever because as you can see, we have Ketu going in there as well as the same time as Saturn, but this person had a good period of relief despite having these two restrictive forces transiting their second house when they had Jupiter cross in there, and enjoyed a good 10-month period, or maybe it was over a year, of having easy supplemented income from the state. I'm going to do one more chart here. I switched it again. I've been doing it when I pause the recording because sometimes I have people's full names when I'm maneuvering around my software. So this person's a Capricorn ascendant. So when Jupiter was on this person's ascendant, like the year prior, they had gone back to school. A big Jupiterian event on their life path. And as you can see, Saturn is also in this person's second house. So before Jupiter caught up, we have them going back to school, and then Saturn's in the second, restricting their money because they couldn't work as much because they're a student. Also, they took on some loans during that time. So they were feeling that restriction from money. So by the time Jupiter got in the second house, they were benefiting from other people's money during this time, from the partner who was, helping to support them as they went to school, and also parents chipping in as well. I believe this person's pay also increased at work because, kind of playing hardball at work about, asking for a higher rate of pay in order to help out at some different locations when they were working. So Jupiter there did, bring in more money that way. But overall, when you see Saturn and Jupiter transiting together, it usually does bring about, some big changes in that house that it's in. But, one thing I have noticed is that it doesn't feel like Jupiter can really give its full effects. And I almost feel like it sounds like too obvious to be true, if that makes sense. I don't know. But that's been my experience. And I kind of feel like that's why 2020 and 2021 were such frustrating years overall, is because I felt people really did feel stifled in the things that they were trying to do. I think the whole world kind of felt a bit restricted. And was because the great benefic Jupiter was hemmed in those years, but wasn't really able to give as full of an effect, as full of the blessing, I guess, as it would have if not hemmed by Saturn. So I'm going to end this video now. I give a few examples. I'm sick, and so my throat, my voice is a bit off, and I'm also containing a lot of sniffles and coughs. So I'm going to keep this video short. But I hope, that kind of gave you a demonstration of Jupiter in the second house, that transit, pretty reliable predictive technique, just for broad predictions, like having more money, possibly a new job being triggered, especially if Saturn is also aspecting any of the career houses at the same time. So that's that.